Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Krall, and today I'm going to talk to you about protection against false rape allegations and how you can protect yourself against them. One of the ways in which a woman has the most power over a man is through false rape allegations. Even if he is proven innocent, simply having been publicly accused of sexually assaulting a woman can and does ruin a man's life. That is why some women won't even go the legal route by going to police and having him arrested when doing this, but will just name him on social media as a sexual predator. There have been university students who, even after proving themselves innocent in court, were not allowed back into university. And there have been men who have had to face jail time and probably got raped in jail before proving their innocence. And I think we can all agree that being charged with sexual assault you did not commit is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you, besides getting married to a woman who just wants to divorce you for your money, that is. So how do you protect yourself from this? Well, here is a short, definitive list of ways. 1. Practice abstinence. This doesn't mean you have to be fully celibate. It just means abstaining from sex with a human female. There are plenty of ways to fulfill your sexual needs that can actually be even more pleasurable than a woman. Using porn is much more relaxing than sex. I mean, us men have to do all the work, so sex is work for a man. And porn is relaxing and gives you the ability to channel surf through a wide array of different types of hot women and sex acts, none of which you'd be able to do in real life. And using point of view porn and even virtual reality goggles can make it seem perfectly real. I don't do the virtual reality goggles, but what I do is I pull a chair right up to the TV table, pull the TV up to the edge of it so that I have this big screen TV right in front of me, so that I basically get fully immersed in the video experience, and that makes it feel very realistic. Using an artificial vagina can also be just as pleasurable as the real thing, if not more. All right, you can buy one that is made specifically to feel better, even far better than the real thing. All right, and what you can also do is you can buy multiple different ones with different types of interiors so that you can make it feel different each time, or it can go based on what type of feeling you want. All right, because if you look up artificial vaginas online, most of them will show you a cross section of what the inside looks like, and they will have different textures, different types of ridges, different patterns and such. And trust me, any artificial vagina where the makers of it put in that much effort trying to design a detailed interior, they have made that vagina feel far better than a real human woman's vagina. I mean, it is so much better than the real thing. In fact, I think one of the times in my life that I was the most sexually satisfied was when I owned a couple different ones with a couple different, types of interiors and different feels. That was, so much more sexually satisfying than any women have ever been able to make me. And of course, there are also lifelike dolls and robots that are, getting more and more lifelike and advanced every year. So if you want a replacement for a female body, those do exist in a way that doesn't seem like, a perfectly natural human being right now, but in the near future it probably will. But moving on, next, number 2, if you must have sex with a woman, it is highly recommended that you do so by hiring a sex worker. She will be more skilled at sex than a woman who doesn't do it professionally, than like any average woman. The cost will be upfront instead of manipulated and extorted out of you, and the experience will be catered to fulfilling your specific desires. Unlike with, most women where it is the other way around. And since it's her job to have sex with you, she's not going to accuse you of rape. All right, she's going to have consented for it and signed up to do it for the amount of money that you are paying her. It's going to be completely transactional. All right, and she's not going to deny that and try to get more money out of you by accusing you of rape. But if you do not want to go the prostitution route, which I understand, that brings me to number 3, which is to get written consent. And here are a number of ways to do so, listed from the legally best to the legally lesser. First, porn contracts are the most legally airtight. They are a legally binding contract for sex. And I know this because I'm a pornographer. I'm in the porn industry. And I also happen to know that these contracts are even useful if you are not going to film the encounter. So using a porn contract is the best, even if you don't want to make porn. You can still use that same legally binding contract. All right, though filming it will also prove that you have done what was consented to and not anything that wasn't consented to. Filming it shows that yes, we did the things that are listed in the contract. Here's proof. So that is certainly even better to have, just in case. Even if filming your sex acts isn't an interest or fetish of yours. But one way or another, porn contracts are the best way to go. And if you would like me to send you the ones that I use, I can do that for you. Just email me at the email address below. But if one or both of you isn't into that and you can't do that, the next best thing would be to get her to record a video stating what she consents to doing with you. And ideally, make a video of you doing it together. And her giving verbal consent at the beginning of it. It does actually hold up in a court of law, at least from what I know. Though, if you're in a certain area, it might not. So, that's why the actual porn contract is better than this. But if you can't do the contract, get her to record a video stating that she's consenting to this with you. And try to get as much video documentation as possible that it is a consensual, mutual, sexual encounter. But if one or both of you are not into, getting anything on video, the next best thing would be to use the type of consent contract or forms that are used in the BDSM and kink community. And just remove anything from it that isn't technically legal. Like striking, which is something you can technically legally only do if it is being filmed and considered acting. So keep that in mind. Any of you out there who are into rough sex and doing things like manhandling a girl, hitting her, etc., that all counts as sexual assault even if she consented to it, because the law sees assault as something that women can't consent to. And they do this because if a woman has been brainwashed into a codependent relationship with an abusive man and she's being abused but she doesn't want to press charges and try to leave him, the law can still do that on their own. If anyone finds out about it and reports it to the authorities, they can and will arrest a man who is manhandling a woman without her pressing charges, even if she is the type of girl who likes it rough. Even if she's a submissive, kinky girl in the BDSM community and she is specifically with a dominant man who she has told to get handsy with her, it is still something you could get in trouble for unless you get it in a porn contract and can claim that it is acting. But again, if you don't want to get anything on video, use the consent contract that is used in the BDSM kink community and just don't do any striking. If you want a copy of those, I can send you the ones that I use. Just again, email me at the link below. But if you want to use one of these and have it be legally sound, which it won't be airtight, but it can be good enough if and only if you hire a lawyer to go over it and get it notarized and such. All right, because otherwise these aren't going to hold up in court the same way that a porn contract is. Even if the information is the same, it's not the same thing in the eyes of the law. Okay, so you need to understand that before you drop a piece of paper that in court isn't even worth the paper it's printed on. It doesn't mean anything in the eyes of the law. But if you are not into BDSM contracts, that's understandable. If you want to keep it much more simple than that, what you could do is the next level down is to use the consent cards that they hand out at certain universities. This is especially ideal for university students as it won't seem odd or anything. And it certainly protects you at that university. Though again, that sort of thing is not a legal contract that would be seen as exactly legally binding in the eyes of the law in court, though it could certainly be submitted as evidence and it would probably work out for you. Though I'm not a lawyer, so this isn't legal advice, and again, you would have to consult with a lawyer on this if that is what you want. But if you don't want to do that, the last and the least effective method is to simply ask her what she wants to do with you, and then do only those things and nothing else. This verbal consent is usually enough, okay? It always was for me whenever I wasn't making porn or doing BDSM with anyone. I didn't bother with any of the consent contracts or any of that. I simply established it verbally by asking. And I never had any girls press charges because I did exactly what they asked for and nothing more, and I made it good for them so they didn't regret it. So if you're doing it well enough, communication should and can at times be enough, though it won't always be. And false rape allegations do occur. So that is why it is important, if you are using communication alone, to do so very thoroughly. And not just when you are in the sexual encounter, but ideally, what can be very, very helpful and important is to begin discussing the sex acts via text messages before you meet up to have the encounter. So there's some proof that she was coming to meet you with the intention of performing these sex acts specifically that you agreed to and, planned out with her ahead of time. And then also, after the acts have been performed, discuss them another time via text message, asking her what she liked best. A woman who has been raped would not be talking about what sex acts she likes best or planning them out in a text message and then going to your house to do them. So that also will hold up in court, as we have seen in a number of these cases. And then when you've gotten consent and you are actually having sex, it is important to let the woman you are having sex with spend some time on top, as women do not get raped by riding a man. So that can be very helpful when later you tell her via text message how good she was at riding you and that you enjoyed that. And any response from her will generally be an acknowledgement, which is an indicator that, yes, she fucked you on top, which meant it was not rape. And then the final line of defense in protecting yourself against false rape allegations is to never have sex with a woman who is intoxicated. Many places in the Western world today regard this as having rendered them incapable of being able to consent, and thus they call it assault. Even if you were drinking too and didn't give your consent either, even if she got you drunk and then she seduced you, okay? Understand that there is a double standard here in the consent law, all right, as there is with all things between men and women in the legal system, all right? The same laws do not apply to both of us equally. So make sure you protect yourself using any of these ways. These forms of consent, I know, may sound a bit trickier than what you would like and are used to, but they're things I've done with almost every woman I've had sex with. And I've never been accused of rape or sexual assault or doing anything with a woman that she didn't want to do with me. And these are things I teach in my sex ed course as well, and how to do them in a way that is sexy and seductive, or maybe romantic, or won't take away from whatever mood you are trying to establish and that passion of the moment. So if you want to learn how to do these things in these kind of ways that won't turn a woman off, but will only turn her on more, and, sort of present these options of, different things you can do together and actually give you more to do, then you can check out my course in the link below. But otherwise, that concludes this talk, and I hope I mansplained that well enough for you guys out there. Thanks for listening. Be sure to share your own thoughts and opinions on how you protect yourself by commenting below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and share these messages with everyone by sharing the video on social media and talking about these things too. And lastly, check out the links in the description below for other resources for your masculine personal development, living the life you want to as an independent man. And if you can afford to donate, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support funds me doing this work and fighting the good fight for men like you. And you can stay tuned for the next video coming out soon, which will be on men's versus women's reproductive rights and what the differences between them are. And make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified when that is. And until then, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.